Welcome, everyone, to this explainer. Today, we're decoding something incredibly important, something that could literally save you years of heartbreak, confusion, and just total emotional depletion. We're going to systematically break down the psychology of toxic relationships and look at the definitive early warning signs of covert abuse and manipulation. So, if you're looking to protect yourself, you are in the exact right place.
Let me just ask you a question. Have you ever been with someone who seemed absolutely perfect at first, but then suddenly things got dark? You met someone who was charming, attentive, just seemingly flawless. But over time, that perfect facade cracked, revealing a reality that left you constantly walking on eggshells. Well, if this sounds familiar, I need you to know you are not alone and it is not your fault. You are likely dealing with a highly manipulative personality type.
Okay, let's dive into this. Red flag number one is love bombing. This is a pattern of behavior involving targeted, really excessive attention and affection super early on. It makes you feel completely idolized. But here is the psychological reality of it. It's actually coercion masquerading as devotion. By showering you with morning to night messages, massive promises about the future, and these unexpected gifts, they're intentionally triggering a huge chemical response in your brain. We're talking a literal cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, and adrenaline. They are creating an emotional addiction to them before they've actually done the hard work of earning your trust. And, this often shows up right away in how they text you. Do their texts feel totally nonstop? Can you even respond without feeling rushed? Constant attention might feel flattering at first, sure, but it's actually a classic hallmark of love bombing. If they're constantly messaging you and pressuring you to reply, they're trying to maximize their presence in your life without your consent. It is not just cute, it is a calculated test to chip away at your autonomy and see exactly how easily you'll bend your own boundaries to accommodate their demands.
That brings us to red flag number 2, which leans on the brilliant work of safety expert Gavin DeBecker. These are what we call pre-incident indicators that someone is trying to control you right from day one. First, watch out for the unsolicited promise. If someone totally out of nowhere says, "I promise I won't hurt you," it usually means they intend to do exactly that. Then there's loan sharking, giving you help you didn't even ask for, just to force a sense of debt or obligation. And the absolute most glaring indicator? Discounting the word no. If you say no and they immediately try to negotiate it or just refuse to accept it, they are telling you loud and clear that your boundaries simply do not matter to them. All right, red flag number 3 is forced teaming and shared trauma. A manipulator is going to try to create an immediate, completely artificial sense of closeness. They might claim a shared background, or even fake a similar past trauma, like a major loss or a history of abuse, just to make it seem like they're the only person on earth who can truly understand your experience. This isn't accidental. It's a deliberate strategy to fast-track intimacy, gain your trust way too quickly, and ultimately isolate you from your friends and community by convincing you that only they know what's best for you.
Let's transition to what happens next, because chronologically, the illusion eventually breaks. After the love bombing comes the devaluation phase. That perfect partner facade cracks. This is exactly where the covert, passive-aggressive behavior starts to seep into the relationship. You'll start to notice this strange divergence between what they say and what they actually do. And the tricky part? The life inside you is slowly depleted over time without you even recognizing it's happening, because the abuse is just so subtle and hidden. You basically begin to experience what they call death by 1,000 cuts.
As that mask slips, you are going to encounter red flag number 4. Emotional dysregulation. Now, this is a clinical term for an inability to flexibly manage your emotional states. But what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it looks like intense, prolonged, and completely disproportionate reactions to just everyday stressors. We're talking extreme tearfulness, explosive angry outbursts, or behavioral meltdowns that totally surpass normal social bounds. People with high narcissistic traits often struggle with this. They react with extreme hypersensitivity and take an incredibly long time to return to a normal emotional baseline. And this creates a terrifying environment where you are perpetually walking on eggshells.
And when you inevitably try to address these issues, you're going to hit red flag number 5, invalidating your reality, which is widely known as gaslighting. Now, take a look at this comparison. A person with high emotional intelligence, or EQ, uses "I feel" statements. This invites vulnerability, connection, and cooperation. But a toxic partner with low EQ, they're going to say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You're just being too sensitive." They aren't actually commenting on your emotions. They are actively trying to erase them so they don't have to deal with them. They feel threatened by your discomfort, so they shut it down, totally prioritizing their own comfort over your actual emotional reality.
So, is this you? Have you ever been in a heated argument and heard the exact phrase, "You made me do this," or, "Well, you made me yell"? Just take a second and think about exactly how that felt in the moment.
That devastating phrase leads us directly into red flag number 6, blame shifting. Saying, "You made me do this," is the ultimate abdication of personal responsibility. It is a favorite, classic tactic of abusers to convince their partners that the abuse is entirely their own fault. Psychologically speaking, this reveals a really dangerous external locus of control. They truly, genuinely believe their actions are controlled by outside forces, meaning you, rather than their own conscious choices. And here's the thing, if they believe you are the source of all their problems, genuine resolution is literally impossible. A person who cannot take responsibility for their own actions and emotions is simply not a safe partner.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast in character it shows us. Red flag number 7 is the refusal to grow. In a healthy relationship, a partner is able to look at you and say, "I was wrong." It signals humility, self-awareness, and a real capability for repair. But the toxic partner, they say, "Well, that's just the way I am." This is a verbal dead end. It signals a fixed mindset, and it basically translates to, "My comfort is way more important than your feelings, and I am absolutely not willing to change." It is a total, flat-out refusal to ever accept influence or compromise with you. All right, red flag number 8 is honestly one of the brightest, most flashing warning signs you will ever see. The crazy ex narrative. If someone tells you that all their exes are crazy, run. Just mathematically speaking, it is highly, highly improbable that one person is just a magnet for completely unreasonable people. The common denominator in all of those failed relationships is them. This narrative displays a total lack of self-awareness, and it establishes them as a permanent victim. But even worse, they are preemptively laying the groundwork to label you as the next crazy ex the very moment you begin to complain or try to hold them accountable for anything. And that brilliantly illustrates our next point, red flag number 9, contempt. Listen, contempt is not just someone being in a bad mood. It is actively attacking a partner's sense of self from a position of moral superiority. It comes out as nasty sarcasm, sneering, eye-rolling, hostile humor, or just straight up calling you names. It is deliberately designed to make the target feel completely despised and worthless. It's fueled by long-simmering negative thoughts, and it is absolutely devastating to the person on the receiving end. To really understand just how destructive contempt is, you have to listen to this statistic: 94%. According to renowned relationship expert Dr. John Gottman, the presence of contempt in communication can predict the failure and end of a relationship with up to 94% accuracy. That is staggering. Contempt is literal relationship poison. It's been shown to even weaken your immune system. If you are regularly hearing sarcasm and mockery directed at you, your relationship is in critical condition. Which brings us to our final red flag, number 10, stonewalling. When you face a problem together, a healthy partner will say, "Hey, we're in this together," turning my problem into our problem. But a toxic partner, they use the sound of silence. They shut down, they stop responding, and they build a massive wall. Now, while sometimes this happens just because a person feels a little overwhelmed, when a partner consistently uses stonewalling to avoid conflict, they are actively dissolving the very foundation of your relationship. They are leaving you entirely alone with your feelings, right at the exact moment when you need to connect the most. So, the crucial point is this. If they're doing all these terrible things, why is it so incredibly hard to just leave? The answer is intermittent reinforcement. Psychology experts actually consider this the most powerful motivator in existence. You see, the kindness and those loving acts from the early love bombing phase, they aren't gone forever. They are just doled out unpredictably. And this creates a powerful trauma bond. You stay hooked, waiting desperately for the nice version of your partner to finally return, completely paralyzed by all the mixed messages. This quote right here really summarizes the devastating reality of these dynamics. It says, "The repeated behaviors of coercive abuse are ultimately about owning and controlling the victim. The covert narcissist slowly, methodically depletes your self-worth. They isolate you, they instill this sort of trance of fear, and they slowly strip away your personal agency. There are no visible physical scars, but the psychological boiling leaves you totally doubting your own sanity. As they say, it truly is death by 1,000 cuts." As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, empowering thought. Our words reveal our character. Trust the patterns you hear. A person's character isn't defined by a single slip of the tongue on a bad day, but by consistency over time. While actions definitely speak louder than words, a toxic person's daily phrases, their constant blame shifting, their invalidation, their contempt, will always preview their true intentions. Listen closely to what they say and believe them the first time. Knowledge is your absolute best armor, but it does require action. So the provocative question you really must ask yourself moving forward is this: are you falling in love with who someone is showing you they are today, or are you just in love with the illusion of who they were on day one? Because once you see that mask slip, you really can't unsee it. Please like this explainer and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you these deep dive insights. And right now, I want you to drop a comment below. Which of these 10 red flags have you seen in real life? Your story might honestly help someone else recognize they aren't alone. Thank you so much for learning with us today, and please stay safe out there.